Disclaimer: Please do note that none of us are experts and are just voicing our opinions on the topic and sharing stories. If any official information is shared in the video, it will be stated on the screen and the link will be put in the description box below. If you need help with the topic that is discussed today, contact experts, which will be listed in the description box, or feel free to contact me on any of my socials. P.S. I am not an expert. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys, your girl Jackie Vhenekai back with another video. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new to this channel, hello. I hope you enjoy what you watch. Do subscribe if you do. Hit that subscribe button. Do it. And guys, like and comment and share. Like, it literally, liking takes a second. Comment, I love comments. They do make me smile. And sharing is for free. Today's video is different to what I normally do on this channel, just because it's like my new series, and I'm really excited about this because I want to be able to help others to not suffer silently through any issues that they are going through, because it's so normal. Mental health affects us all, but it affects us all in different ways and for different reasons, and hopefully through this series we'll be able to talk about each kind of thing that affects someone's mental health and help them to know that they're not alone. So yeah, we're gonna get straight into it. This week's video is on sexual assault and rape. If you are a victim, I'm honestly, like, my heart does go out to you. I'm also a victim, but no, I'm a survivor. I've come out of it. 2 years later, I got my undergrad and I've got a master's degree, and I'm able to make this platform so I can help people. So don't ever think that like there isn't a light bulb at the end of your dark tunnel. Like, there honestly is. I thought that there wasn't a light bulb, and I'm so happy that I found it now. It's not just my ring light.
Hi guys, I'm Holly, I'm 23. I live in South London. I went to uni in Birmingham. I graduated in 2019. And to clarify, I'm no expert on anything we're going to be discussing today.
Thank you. Over to Prince before his network goes.
I'm Princeton. I'm from London, but I live in Birmingham because I studied here. And yeah, I'm also not an expert on anything we're going to be discussing today.
Lovely. Asmara?
Hi, I'm Asmara. I'm 21. Live in Birmingham, from Birmingham. Graduated in 2020, and I'm not an expert either.
Lovely jubbly. And then the two in the top corner.
Hi, I'm Taku. I featured before in one of Jackie's videos, so go and check it out. I'm 23, from Reading originally, and now live in Birmingham for uni.
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm 24. I'm from Ireland originally, but now I live in Birmingham as my permanent stay for now. Also, we're not experts on anything we're discussing today, pretty much.
I love how you speak for the two of you. That's cute. Okay, so as the title did state, today's topic is on sexual assault and rape, which is quite a heavy topic. I'm just going to start with the definitions of each. So sexual assault is any sexual act that a person did not consent to or is forced into against their will. And then rape and assault involving penetration of the vagina, anus, or mouth, and consent is permission for something to happen or agreement to do something. "45 people responded to this, and 78% said yes." How do we feel about that?
I'm not too surprised. It's yeah, it's a shame, but it's not shocking.
I don't think anybody's shocked, especially with movements coming out of people who's finally speaking up and it's becoming well known, and it's giving more people like the confidence to be able to come out and speak about the experience. And you find out that people close to you have experienced it and you wouldn't know, because you would never think you would be able to know someone who's experienced it. But, yeah.
That's fair. No, I was like, I'm not surprised at the number, but it's upsetting that it is like that high. And that also like feeds in with the whole 97% stat of all women in the UK have experienced rape or sexual assault in their life. And quite a lot of people did say that they are surprised, but 9% of people said they're not surprised by this figure.
I think when people usually say the term ignorance is bliss, it's if you haven't come across such a situation, it's very, very rare. And I feel like those 9% of people who are, I don't want to call them ignorant in a sense, but it's a sense of you just haven't been informed, or you just haven't been told about someone who has experienced it. So I feel like it's not a case that they genuinely don't know, but it's a case of they just haven't been told, because 97% is literally the majority of the UK.
That's so
I think
true.
there's a lot of people in denial as well. Like, have you seen like a lot of the comments under a lot of the tweets and stuff about Sarah Everard's? It's like a lot of men like being like, well, some women deserve it. Or have you seen those tweets that are like, oh, you should be lucky if you get sexually assaulted, because then at least a man thinks you're paying, and like all of this stuff. And it's like a lot of people in denial that this like assault is serious and it happens and it's not a joke.
I think a lot of people probably don't understand the definition of sexual assault as well, so they're just playing it off as they don't know anyone that's been sexually assaulted, because it's just like something that's just happened. Like, they wouldn't class it as sexual assault, when in reality it is.
I think that's what it is. Like, I know that I didn't know what sexual assault was classed as, but never get taught it. So like at what point, I'm not saying that the abusers or whatever have a right to do what they're doing, but like, we don't get taught what is sexual assault, or we don't get taught about rape and how to prevent it from happening and all that. So it's kind of like, how would you know if you are a victim of it? Or how would you know if you are, I don't want to say innocently going into committing this crime, but like if you're about to commit it, like sometimes like you commit sexual assault without actually knowing that that's what you're doing.
I think I think in part of that, like, we do need to hold like schools accountable for part of that, because I think it's really important that, I don't know if you guys remember, but like in year 6 aroundabouts, they usually start doing the whole periods talk and how sex happens and everything like that. And I feel like at that point, you should then also remind us, like, start to introduce to them that, wait, hold on, as much as these things do happen, you also need to be aware and cautious of other things that do happen, and warn children, because thing is, children tend to be the main target a lot of the times. They don't realize what happens to them until much later, and until they learn the definitions, and until they then grow up and are thrown into the big wide world, and then look back and realize, hold on a minute, that's what happened to me when I was younger. So I feel like a lot of the times schools also need to be held accountable, as to the point where when we were taught these, we weren't taught these things at school, as you rightly said. Like, there was no point where they ever sat us down and they said, right, look, this is what is the definition of assault, and this is what the definition of rape is, and this is how you go about avoiding doing these sorts of things, and this is what you do if you ever find yourself in a situation like this. And it's annoying, because you look back at all the PSHE lessons that you had, and so many things that you didn't need to be taught at school, but the important things they really skipped out on, and they just sort of like said, right, go.
No, that is so true.
I think especially like, obviously when you start uni, you're 18, you come fresh from sixth form or college, whatever it is, and at no point have you been prepared for being independent, like by the school system anyway. Like at home it might be a different story, but by the school system you've not been prepared for the kind of people you might come across, and that not everybody is innocent and good. And for example, with me, like I went to a religious school, it's a Christian school, and I think for them, like, it's not something they're going to teach you about, because like when you go to like a religious school, there's certain things that they aren't, they're not on the curriculum, they're not supposed to teach you about. And it's sort of like, good luck to you, just hope it doesn't happen, and we're not going to teach you about it. And then you get thrown out into uni and you're expected to be an adult, but you haven't been taught properly about adult relationships and how other adults might react towards you. And I think especially at that age, like 18, you're very easily to like be led into or around the wrong people, or you might think, I'm not comfortable with something that's just happened, but I don't want to make a fuss, because especially at uni, like you're meeting new people, you don't want to be like that girl that's always causing problems, or
100%.
you don't want the attention on you in a bad way. So I think, yeah, going from being at school and being taught nothing and then being expected to be an adult at uni is difficult.
That 72% of people said it was a family member or a friend. That is crazy high. The other 28% was a stranger. I personally only know people who have been assaulted or raped by a family member or friend. And I think that is like so disgusting that like someone you put your trust in goes and takes advantage of that.
I think it's always really difficult, because in those situations you start to really think, okay, what was their primary motive for becoming close to me and trying to gain that form of a relationship? Because you start to now question, okay, cool, this person coming into my life, is it because they genuinely care about me? Or is it because of the fact that they want something out of me? And I think from personal experience, that causes a lot of trust issues. And as someone who went through something, who went through an incident, I think what's really difficult is now the time period where you then have to process that and the aftermath. And I don't think people really realize that when you have, I don't want to say that I would have preferred it to be a stranger, but in a sense I would have, because if it's someone close to you, you look at everyone around you and you question them. And even everybody's intentions, like I can't look at my male family members the way that I used to, because of the fact that someone came from outside and has destroyed that. And that's then affected my relationships with a lot of other people who it shouldn't, but because of their actions, it has. And it's such a shame, because thing is, I feel like the level of manipulation that then comes in is like, are they going to believe me? Is everybody else going to side with them because they're a family member or a friend or somebody who's close to you? Like, who else is really going to understand and accept what you're saying if they see the person in a completely different light? It's just scary, because I think it now then brings us back to the whole educating and making sure people are educated, and us coming back to making sure that we educate those who are younger than us and our cousins, younger siblings, and our own children. Like, protection has to start from a much earlier age, and knowing what to look out for is also really important.
The term no means no. What are the views? What do you think? No means no. Does it have to be verbal? Can it be body language? Anything?
I think it's both verbal and body language. Like it's a mixture of that. Like both a male or female. It doesn't have to clearly, like obviously clearly saying no is always like going to protect you more and like keep you on the safe side. But there's so much more to go at, like the body language, that you can read a person whether like they're actually into doing, like trying to have any sexual relations with you or not. So it's not just solely verbal, but it's also like physical and yeah, body language and etc.
Yeah, I think it's I don't think anybody has to say anything, because if you think about it, if you're, let's say for an example, if you're in a relationship, or if you're your friend or your family and they're not, and you guys are not on a good term, they don't need to be like, I'm angry at you. You could literally see from their facial expressions or from their body language that they don't want to hang out with you, or they're ignoring you, or they're mad at you. So when it comes to that, you don't really need to say anything. You can literally just see from the person's body language. So
At least
if
you know.
at least you know, so if you could tell, be quiet. So if you could tell from somebody's body language, like a friend or a family member, that everything's not okay because you know them. So if something feels off, you could tell that okay, something's not right, and you could tell that they're upset with you because they will give you one-word answers, or they won't interact the way they usually are with you. It should transcend into as well. If you're about to be intimate with somebody, you can tell when they want to and when they don't. Pretty much simple.
Yeah, no, the idea of it just has to be verbal, which 10% of people do think it has to be verbal, just verbal. That idea is crazy, because if someone's pushing you away, or if someone's not then like joining in with you, like shouldn't that like translate to you as like, okay, no, this person doesn't want to do anything with me, and I should just respect that and step back and respect their wishes and just go about my business, like not force it, not try and change their mind or anything like that. Like any sort of, like you both have said, any sort of body language, verbal, physical pushing or whatever, that should all be classed as no. I love the nods. I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Okay, kind of like moving away from the fact that females are only victims. In the survey, I did ask of those who knew a victim or were a victim themselves, was the person male or female, and 26% said that they were male. What do we think of this figure? Is that too low, too high?
I think it's higher than that in reality, but yeah. I don't think many guys would be willing to admit, or also in a sense to know again that that's happened to them, because I feel like with guys, well, you can explain as a guy.
I don't feel like there's any platform for guys to be heard, even though that's crazy as it is, that you need a platform to say, okay, I've been assaulted, and this has caused issues for me, because some instances of male figures being raped, or it's usually in most stories I've read, not all of them, is usually when they're a kid. So when you're usually a kid, that's when they're assaulted, and some of them have tried to tell that, oh, my uncle did this or my auntie did this, but no one seems to believe him that could have happened to themselves. So it just feels like, if my mom or my dad isn't going to believe me, then who's going to believe him, because they know me best. So how can I tell a complete stranger who I have no relation to, just believe something so big? So it's like there's no platform for guys, and even if there is, like, if a guy wants to speak to somebody or to try and speak to her friends, it's just like, it's made to be seen as if we're weak, or we allowed it, or we wanted it to be, or it's just, we're not given, it's like guys are not given the benefit of the doubt, but girls are. So it's just a bit of, yeah.
I feel like a lot of guys would also.
Oh, go on. You go. There you go.
I was just gonna say, I think a lot of guys, especially once, like when they're grown, they probably personally wouldn't want to come out like saying it, because I don't know, I guess might feel ashamed, or like if the toxic masculinity comes in and they're thinking, or how, like, if they've been assaulted, especially if it was a woman and not another guy, they're thinking like people might, like, I don't know, see them as weak, or like, what means laugh at them, but not take it serious. So I feel like a lot of guys wouldn't actually come out. Like, if imagine the rate of females coming out and saying, oh, they've been assaulted or raped, and they're not being taken serious. Imagine how it would be if the roles are reversed, as like the police or whatever platform might be like thinking, oh, as a guy, like how wasn't you able to defend yourself? Like you're probably stronger, like you could have fended it off. So I feel like a lot of guys, a mixture of them being ashamed or like not wanting to speak out. So I feel like that number in reality would be much higher than that 20, what was it, 25, 26%?
26%.
Something around the number. Yeah.
Holly?
I was just going to say the same thing. I think it comes back to toxic masculinity, really. Whereas for women, like I feel like women are very good at supporting each other and being there for each other. And because it's such a high percent of us that have been through these things and experienced feeling uncomfortable around men, experiencing sexual assault, it's a lot easier for us to speak to each other about it. Whereas for men, not all men may have necessarily experienced a time where they feel uncomfortable because it's not as common and it's not sort of like respected as much as it is for women. Like you hear about assaults against women all the time on social media, on the news. If you think about like murder documentaries and stuff like that, it's very common about crimes against women, like man on women crimes, not necessarily like crimes against men. So yeah, I think it's not spoken about as much. It's not, I don't know what the word is for it, but it's just not out there as much as say it is for women.
No, that is so true. I think that's what definitely makes guys feel like, can't talk about it, because like you guys have been saying, like they're kind of silenced by the fact that it is a silenced topic. Like, you just don't feel like you have anywhere to speak about it, or if you do, then does that make you less masculine? Like, and unfortunately, I think like guys do laugh about it. If one of their friends was to come up to you and be like, "Oh, this happened to me," I think guys laugh about it, and I think that's so known. So that's probably why most time guys won't go and tell their guy friends or anybody that it has happened to them.
And I think the most difficult thing is, even in instances where you do hear cases, a lot of the times it tends to be from the LGBTQ community. And that is a very fair point, that when you do hear of instances where guys have been assaulted and raped and gone through this, it tends to be stories that have come out through other communities and communities which are a bit more not as talked about. And that is a really difficult part of it, because as heterosexual cisgender men, a lot of the times they then view it as, okay, if I talk about it, I'm then going to be associated with the LGBTQ community if a guy has been the one to assault them. Because let's not forget, these things also happen in prison. Like, there are a lot of assault cases that happen in prison, and a lot of guys will not talk about it because of the fact that they are ashamed, as you said, and a lot of the times they don't feel like they are comfortable and have the support that they would require from other heterosexual cisgender straight men who would be able to support them the same way that women have, and the way that we get supported and protected in a sense.
Looking at it from a relationship perspective, can rape or sexual assault occur in a relationship?
Yes.
100%.
Definitely.
Yep.
I think a lot of people think, oh, because you're in a relationship and like maybe even if you've got like regular sex or something like that, that means that you automatically like have full-time consent, but that's not the case. Like even in a relationship, for whatever reason, you might not want to have sex with your partner. So that doesn't like, so you don't have no right, like either side doesn't have the right to obviously like force themselves upon their partner just because they're in a relationship.
That's so true. I think it is that thing like, oh, now that's my girl or that's my guy, I have consent like 24/7 basically, which is so wrong regardless. Like moods change and stuff like that, so you don't always have consent. You still need to make sure you do get consent. 99% said yes and 1% did say no.
Okay, now I want ads for that 1%, because
How about if you are having sex, whether you're in a relationship or not, and you choose partway through that you no longer want to continue, this other person decides to continue, is that classed as a rape?
Are we talking rape explicitly?
Yeah.
Well,
or are we talking assault too?
from the penetration stage.
Okay, so if we're talking from penetration stage, it's rape because there is a penis inside the vagina or a penis inside the anus or whichever they choose, wherever it's going, whatever form of penetration there is, it's still penetration that isn't consented.
I think it's only rape from the point that the person has now said no and they continue. Like if obviously had the consent first, and then whoever says no and like it's been stopped, then that you can't class this as rape because like initially I had the consent. If the person was not to continue after like whatever side said no, I feel like then you could like outclass this as rape.
I agree.
And to be fair, the same with sexual assault, like whatever stage it might have been, like if it was foreplay, if it was like whatever it is I think it is the same principle. As long as there was consent at first and they started getting into it. And if one of them then says no and it's actually been stopped, then you can't class that as rape or assault because I've now stopped. But obviously if they continue, then I'd say it's assault.
I agree with that too. 98% said it is, and 2% said no, it's not. But no, as stated, at the point that someone says no, it's either sexual assault or it is rape, regardless of whether it happens to a man or woman or what are they called? Whether you're like transgender, that's what I was wanting to say. Doesn't matter, it is still classed as sexual assault or rape.
I think again it's down to like what people see as the definition, because loads of people will think if someone's consented at the beginning of it, then how is it going to end up being sexual assault? But at the end of the day, once someone's not feeling it anymore or they've said no, it goes into a whole nother realm. So it is what it is.
Even things like, for example, if a guy removes a condom while you are having sex and you haven't consented to having sex without a condom, that's classed as assault and that's classed as rape because it's called stealthing. And a lot of people wouldn't know that unless you have been informed of that. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of that, to be quite honest.
I wasn't till yesterday.
Yeah, so
I knew there was like controversy around it, but I didn't know it had been like become a law.
Yeah,
and it's
so
crazy because I know a lot of females, and that's happened to them.
Yeah,
but we don't know about it because we don't get taught about it. We don't know it's assault because we don't get told.
Yeah,
literally. Question: can women rape men, or is it only men that can commit rape?
Yes, they can.
They can.
Yeah.
Either way, I think it goes either way.
Another one. How can you be sure to not commit either of the offenses?
Communication, get just a simple side, like just communicate, keep reassuring, keep making sure that the other side is comfortable with whatever you're doing.
Again, as we've said, we're not experts, so don't go taking anything we've said and being like, oh, Pam said this, Jack said it. Nah. Just a discussion.
For real, no, we're not experts at all.
I feel like with the younger generation now, I think they've got it a lot differently to how we had it when we were like 16, 17, because the role models we had back then were like Katy Perry, like all these pop stars, and now who's the role models? Like Kylie Jenner, BBL, Like all these people just getting their ass and their titties out for Instagram. And I feel like women are just a lot more sexualized now. And I don't think that's not getting pointed out to young girls and young boys at all. That a lot of it is image. And just because a girl might want to present herself in a certain way doesn't mean you can go touch her or talk to her or anything like that. But yeah, I think it's a lot more. It should have been there for when we were in school, but I think for kids that are in school now, it's even more relevant, in my opinion anyway.
Guys need to check the voice as well, like maybe for females as well, but especially for guys, that like a lot of guys might think, oh yeah, I'm not doing any of this. These times, like the friendship circles, like, and people in the friendship circles are moving mad, and like, you know, borderline assaulting females, not approaching females in the right way. And they're not saying anything. They've been either ignorant to it, maybe because they're thinking, oh yeah, my boy, like my friends could never, or they just look at it, or like, I don't know, they just don't see it because they're their friends. But like, if your friends are moving like that, and being talked about, you're going to be put in the same basket. So rather than thinking, oh yeah, I'm not doing it or whatever, like you like, guys actually need to speak to their friends and make sure, like, if they see them behaving in a mad way, like that they put them in check.
I feel like there's so many things, like we need to learn to respect each other better. We need to like stop slut shaming, things like that. There's so many things that nowadays we need to be taught about. So hopefully this generation, the next, will learn that and respect each other a bit more. And then we can avoid things like 97% and things like that.
On the note of slut shaming, a lot of the times when a girl does tend to sleep with a lot more men than usual, it tends to be because of the fact that she's trying to reclaim her body following a traumatic experience that she has experienced, and is just trying to be able to regain confidence. So slut shaming isn't necessarily beneficial, because sometimes it is because of the fact that someone has had their body violated and has had their self-confidence removed from them, and they're just trying to be able to reclaim their body.
That is so true. I think victims like go through healing process or getting over it process so differently. No victim is going to react the same to another. The same thing with like, no victim will take the same amount of time. There's no set period of when you start reacting or how long you're so vulnerable for. It just depends on you as a character, and I guess the support system you do have around you. So make sure, like, if you are or you know someone, like, just watch out for like their new behaviors and any behaviors that just seem out of character, and don't just think, oh, it happened 2 weeks ago, like they're probably at their peak, or it happened 10 years ago, why are you still not over it now? Like, everybody is so different and everyone reacts differently. I drank and got high and did drugs, but everybody's so different. Like Taki was saying, with the whole, you sleep around with so many people to gain your own body back, everyone's so different. And
yeah, and I think even with you saying that after 2 years you were able to sit down and actually talk about it without it affecting you, thinking back now, after 2 years you couldn't even mention the situation to me and I'd be able to address it, because I would burst into tears, and I wasn't able to fully accept that that's what had happened up until like a good 3 years on. And I think 3 years later, that's when I just about accepted it, and then started to go through the phases, and everything from like the anxiety and the panic attacks and all of that then started to occur after 3 years of the incident happening. So you would think that, okay, after so long, you can get over it. But as Jackie said, there's no fixed amount of time for it, and it can literally appear at any point. So the best solution is to try and speak to someone so that you have the support system to help you heal, and you do have those around you who really care about you. Even if it is a case that you can't go to the police, that's fine. Just having someone who you can confide in to be able to support you and be aware is what is the most important thing.
100.
Yeah, and hopefully as well, there's more like safe spaces created for like all victims, but especially men, because obviously, as we know, men and boys don't talk about them kind of things, and hopefully the stigma with boys then talking on their feelings can, you know, be destroyed, because everyone deserves a chance to speak their truth. So yeah.
Definitely, and those of the LGBTQ plus community as well. They're like big victims that are silenced just like men. So hopefully one day, unfortunately, it becomes something that people are comfortable to talk about, and so they stop suffering alone. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being a part of this discussion. All your opinions and everything you shared have been so helpful. Hopefully that's what other people are saying too. But if you want to say your outros, your goodbyes, no shimmy. No one wants to go. Mad. Everyone's like, encore.
Seeing as we're doing outros, right, follow me on Instagram, mocha_Tinkerbell. I've got a project coming out in the next 2 months called Spill the Tea for upcoming poets and artists. It should be really cool. So yeah, give us a follow if you like.
I ain't giving out my socials. Yeah, what she says.
That's cool. I will put his socials up. Anyone else?
I'll just say bye, guys. Thanks for watching. You can follow me on Instagram as well as Mara X. No, what's my Instagram? As Mara X _. I also have a little YouTube channel just like talking about realities of uni, mental health aspects of that. So you can like do that.
I will.
But yeah.
Hello and on screen.
Thank you.
Okay, next. Okay, thanks for listening, guys. I know it's been a deep chat, but it's serious stuff, and I know there's been some stuff that we might laugh about and be smiling at, but obviously it's serious. And if you ever need to speak to anyone, I think Jackie's going to link some people and contacts below. And if you want to speak to any of us, I'm sure everybody will be willing to speak to you. And if you want to follow my Insta, Jackie can put it here.
She's even giving me somewhere to put it.
No, well, I'm gonna just also say, well, thanks for watching. Well, hope you guys enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed discussing it today, and yeah, that's it from me. I don't have anything special, no podcast or anything that I do, but I guess there can be something as well.
You're just there.
Just here, man.
Nah, it's cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, or whatever, and I'll catch you in 2 weeks' time with whatever topic is going to be next. Bye.
Bye, Felicia.